Alright, so we're going to be very quiet, I think, but at least we can hear it. So, the thing with these questions is it's never going to be a situation where I can do enough examples. And there's always going to be a yes, but what if situation. So I'm going to go through these two examples, and then the rest of this lesson we'll just work on word problems. And that's the thing with word problems, is they're just harder because it's not always obvious how they set them up. Okay? Now the clue is if they've given you two bits of information, then you're going to probably be setting up simultaneous equations. Okay? So if they've given you some information and there's two different types of information about the same situation, then you're going to be doing simultaneous equations. Alright? So here we go. A theatre has two different ticket prices, one for adults and another for children. A party of 6 adults and 10 children costs £38, while 5 adults and 12 children costs £39. Write this information as two simultaneous equations. So they've given you the heads up already that we know it's a simultaneous equation. We need to now write some equations. So, A. You can choose which letters you use. Normally, I would suggest try and use a letter that kind of represents what's going on. So I would suggest that the cost of an adult ticket, I'm going to use the letter A. And the cost of a child ticket, I'm going to call C. Alright? That's just my choice. Is this a question? Oh, you haven't got it. Alright, so cost of adult is A, cost of child is C. So we need to write ourselves two equations. Anyone want to suggest what one of them might be? Erin, do you want to go? So we'll take the cost of one adult is A, and the cost of one child is C. And this is the first piece of information.
So if you know that 6 adults and 10 children,
Yep.
so what would be 36? So that would be like 6A plus 10 equals 38.
Awesome. That's pretty straightforward, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Haley, what's the other one?
5A plus 12C equals 39.
There's the answer. Okay. Some are definitely easier than others to spot how you would set them out. Okay. Now part B says solve your equations. And they want to know, and then here's the other thing you need to watch out for. Make sure you actually answer the question they've asked. So they've said, find the cost of an adult and the cost of a child ticket. Sometimes they just want the cost of one, or one piece of information. Sometimes they want something else. So just be careful. So we're now going to solve these. What's the, now we're going to go a little bit slower for Julia, because she hasn't done any of these yet. What's probably the easiest method to do here? Is it graph elimination?
Substitution.
Oh, interesting. You would substitute? You would substitute?
No.
I remember substitution is probably the best option would be where if you have singular letters, but we've got 6 and 5 and 10 and 12. So I would suggest probably this one, harder substitution. Okay? So elimination method is probably our best option. Can we just add our two fractions to eliminate a letter? No, we're going to have to do some what first?
Multiply.
Some multiplying. Okay. So Julia, the aim of the game when we're trying to solve these is we need to, we know we can only solve an equation when there's just one unknown. And here we've got, in both of them, two unknowns. So what we're going to do is somehow eliminate one of the letters. And we can do that if we have a positive and a negative version of the same letter. So for example, if this had said positive 6 and this had said negative 6, when we add the two together, that would obviously disappear. So what we're trying to do now is to try and to get the same number in front of either the A's or the C's. Which do you guys want to do? A. Okay, what do you want to do then, Danny?
Unifying.
We need to do some multiplying. What number are we going to make from those?
5 times 5. Oh no, we're doing C. Oh, 6 and 1. I kind of forgot how to do it.
Oh, okay. So Haley, they're your favourites. Do you remember?
We would times the top one by, wait, which one are we doing?
A.
We
We're getting rid of the eggs.
we would times the top one by 5 and the bottom one by 6.
Careful.
Yeah.
We need to have the opposite signs.
negative 6.
Yeah, okay? So remember we need the one positive, one negative. Okay, it doesn't matter which one's positive and which one's negative as long as one of them is positive and one's negative. Okay? So we're multiplying the whole equation by 5. So that gives us 30a plus 50c equals 190. Was that good, Benjamin? Thanks. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
So we've now got negative 6 times 5a, so we've got now negative 30a. We've got negative 6 times 12, so that's negative 72c. I don't know what this is. 182.
Negative
34. Okay? So now what happens is when we add these two together, especially for Junior, as I said, these two disappear. Okay? So we've got 50c plus negative 72c. What does that give us?
Negative 12.
Secretly, 22c. We're closer.
Not bad.
And what's 190 plus negative 234?
Negative 40.
Okay? So to get c on its own, we're going to divide both by negative 22. So we've got c is 2.
You don't want to find out what A is?
They do, actually, in this one, yeah.
You have to put it back into it.
You do, in fact. And remember, you can choose any of your equations, so either the ones you've multiplied or the originals, to find out c. Now, just something, because I've seen it happen before. Something could have gone wrong here, or you could, when you've done your dividing, you may have divided by 22 and not negative 22. So you would have ended up with a negative value. I would hope that at that situation, because it's an application question, you'd say, oh, that's wrong, because you cannot have a value of something as negative 2. Like, they're paying you to come and watch something. It's very unlikely, okay? So you're not going to, so look at the answers you're getting to see if they're right or wrong. So to find this final one, as I said, you're going to substitute that in. Oh, the first one, okay, so we're going to substitute, I'm probably running out of space, sorry about that. So c equals 2 into the first one. So we've got 6a plus 10 lots of 2 equals 38. 6a plus 20 equals 38. 6a equals 15a equals 3. Okay? So an adult ticket costs £3 and a child costs 2. Lesbians?
Wait,
What?
wait.
Wait.
Oh wait, we found C, right?
We found C initially, yes. Did you put it in place of A?
Yeah.
No.
So wait, I get like what we did there, but why did we do that? Well,
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say there.
so what? So there's go here so you can find the cost of an adult ticket, cost of the child ticket. So,
Don't mind us.
pardon?
Don't mind us.
Uh,
No.
Oh, sorry, that was my breathe. So, like, why can't we just? I don't know.
Because the issue, Julia, is that there's 2 unknowns. There is no way that you can solve any equation with 2 unknown letters.
So
Okay?
there's one unknown.
If there was one unknown, easy peasy, and that's what we did here. We just rearranged it and got C on its own.
Okay.
But if you've got more than one unknown, you cannot solve it, okay? Unless you have a second situation. And what's happening here is that what we're saying is, when I say you have to have a second situation, you have to have something that's related to the other one. So we're saying that these 2 values here satisfy both of these 2 situations. It's not going to be a different, so the fact that this is A is meaning that it's the same value as this A here, okay? And that has to be the case. You can't have A being one number in one equation and A being something else in the other.
Okay.
So actually what would happen is that you could substitute both of these two numbers into this green one, and you should get 39. It should be that 5 lots of 3 plus 12 lots of 2 gives us 39. And if it doesn't, then you've done it wrong.
What about the one for above?
It's definitely going to work with that one because that's the one we substituted it into to get the other value of A. Now, there's also a shortcut method that once you've done them all, even before you start, if you want, you can use your calculators. So all you have to do in your calculators is type in both of these two equations, press enter, and it will tell you your two numbers you're looking for. Okay, so that's always a good option, but to get the marks in an exam, you have to show this working. But it means that you can check that you've got them right. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that was definitely a slowpoke version, but probably good to recap for everybody. All right, so a hire company has a fleet of coaches and minibuses. 3 coaches and 4 minibuses can carry 180 passengers. 5 coaches and 2 minibuses can carry 230. Write 2 simultaneous equations. Right, Lily, what shall we call them to start?
So coaches.
Coaches. So number of coaches. Oh, let me write that here. Number of coaches. Okay. And number of minibus. Okay. And what's one of my equations, Lily?
3c plus 4a equals 1.
Oh, you're A, you said.
I mean, sorry, 4m, sorry.
Oh.
I was looking at the other one.
Tricking me. Well, equals 180, yeah. And Cheyenne, what's another one?
5c plus 2m equals 230 feet per passengers.
Now here we don't need a third letter because we know it's just that we're talking about the number of passengers.
Okay.
And what we're trying to find out is how many passengers can one coach carry. So we're actually, something here. Number of, it's not number of coaches, is it? It's number of passengers in a coach. And number of passengers in a minivan.
No, it isn't just minibuses and coaches.
No, so it's the number of passengers in those things because we've been told we had 3 coaches. Yes? So they told us the number of coaches. We are trying to establish how many people are in each of these vessels. If you like.
I'm sort of sidetracking here, but what's a coach?
Oh, sure now. It's a bus. It's a fancy bus.
Yeah. I read that and I'm like, wait a second, why?
You had like so
No, I thought like soccer coaches, like
What's that?
sports coaches.
Oh yeah, I thought that first.
That's interesting. Yeah. And hopefully that wouldn't happen in the external exam, in that they'd use something that is perhaps more universal. I thought a coach would be universal, but
Yeah.
not.
I've never heard of a coach.
I've heard of it, but it didn't
What do they call you with?
We went.
I know, yeah, I know what a coach is. I just wouldn't have thought of it.
Yeah.
No, we thought of it. No, man, so different. So a coach is like, a coach is like, a bus would just have normal seats, and a coach would have like velvet seats. We didn't have that.
Our coach is fun.
That's when we had a bus. That was fun. Our school, we went to
I just remember. Okay, so well, there you go.
You remember on the school?
Yeah, oh my gosh, this is really sidetracking. So, shh, Julia.
Trying to do it.
Oh, should we read that up?
Yes.
Go on then.
Okay. So then you do times 5, right? For to get them the same.
Okay,
Wait, what if we did 2?
hang on. Times 5
And times -3.
times -3. Right, that will totally work. Okay, now, Danny has just said something. What do you say?
I'm working it out with -2.
Okay, now, the thing, that, as I said, that will totally work. Lovely jubbly, we can keep going with that. However,
Or we could just do times two.
sometimes, yes, looking at these numbers here,
Uh-huh.
it would be quicker to leave this one alone
Yeah.
and just multiply that by -2.
Yeah.
Yes? You happy with that?
Yeah.
So, girls, do not stress if you go with the longer option. It doesn't matter. You'll get the right answer no matter what. Just bless you. I would suggest try and look at the values and see if there are speedier ways. Danny?
So when you do the times -2, you times the whole.
Everything.
Okay.
Yes. All right, Julia, do you want to keep going?
So you do 3c for the top plus 4m equals 180. And the bottom would be -10c minus 4m equals -460.
Okay. And we're adding those two fractions, so when that happens, these.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah.
Yeah. So did it not times by everything?
We did, didn't
No, but you cut off you cut the other ones. Like it equals 4m.
Because we changed our choice. We decided not to do 5 and -3. We decided to leave this one and just multiply this by -2. Because remember, you can keep going with that one if you want and see if you get the same answer. Yes? But because that is the other option, that's totally fine. And if that's the way that you would have done it as well, then
I'll see if I can.
yeah. All right, so we've added these two and they're gone. So what's
Then
that?
it'd be -7.
-280.
-280.
C equals
Okay, and then we have C as
40.
okay. We knew we would divide by -7. Yeah. Again, if you forgot the negative, you would say, hang on, you have a negative number of people in the coach. That's tough. Well, unless you're sitting and you didn't know what it was, you might think that's fine.
The first time I did do -460.
The referee on the side of the field, I thought.
So that's good because you were like, oh, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this case, do we need to continue?
No.
No, because all they've asked us is how many passengers can one coach carry. So we've actually finished.
If we were to continue, would we do the 3 times or 5?
Yeah, you substitute this into one of these.
Does it matter?
No, any of them should give you the same answer. Okay? Are we all good with that? Yeah, so,
Like those ones?
so we're going to now practice.